You are listening to Peak One Sports.
Happy Saturday and welcome to the Leadoff on the Peak One Sports Network, brought to you by Apogee Grafix, taking your vision to new heights. I'm Ashton here to get you ready for your sports weekend. This weekend is actually the end of National Fishing and Boating Week. Hopefully you're spending some time on the lake, fishing, maybe listening to the show and relaxing on your boat. Either way, however you're listening, we thank you. So go ahead, hit that like or subscribe button. Okay, so we're going to dive into this NBA Finals Game 1 in just a second. But first, say goodbye to unruly behavior and hello to a well-mannered pup. The Dapper Dog Academy stands out as a top-notch canine training institute located in Cleburne and serving all of the DFW Metroplex. We just started doing private lessons with our golden retriever. And there is, an immediate improvement, but really they're training us as well. Korri's helping us as owners. So it's a weekly training, and we're, throughout the week we're doing our homework and helping move that along, and it's going great so far. Go ahead and contact Korri and the Dapper Dog Academy on Facebook, or call and schedule a consultation today. All the info is in the description box below. Again, thank you for listening. All right. I know we don't want to do it, I guess, unless you're a Celtics fan, but Mavericks fall to the Celtics 117-89 in this game. Really wasn't even that close, except about midway through the third quarter. After the Mavs were down, I think as much as 29 points in the first half, they clawed their way back in the third to get within 8. They were just down by 8 points. Luka hit a couple of threes. Boston then went on a run to end the third quarter, and they ended up leading by 20. So kind of all for nothing. Not a good showing by the Mavs at all. They kind of just came out Cowboy-esque playoff embarrassment. I mean, it's just the first game, and we'll get into that in a minute. But yeah, overall they didn't play well. Gafford didn't play well. He's played great defense, not only against Minnesota, but so far throughout the playoffs. He's played really well. Their shots just weren't falling, especially the three-pointers. Derek Jones, is kind of his thing, is he's going to get in there and make some three-pointers for you. Even Tim Hardaway Jr. came into this game and wasn't able to hit a lot. Kyrie, of course, only scored 12 points. His shots weren't falling either. There were points where Kyrie in particular was trying to, I think, rush this comeback and get it all back at once. And I mean, you just can't do that. You have to play your game. There were a lot of times they just run down the floor, immediately shoot, run down the floor, immediately shoot. And it wasn't like fast break opportunities. It was just, that's what, whoever took the ball down would go up, wait a second and shoot, and not really running your offense. Luka's stat line looked good. He did score 30 points, 10 rebounds. He's the first player to record a 30-point triple-double in his NBA Finals debut since Tim Duncan in 1999. Luka looked really good in the third quarter, and a little bit early in the fourth quarter. I think that's overall. I mean, he did have a good game, and when you go 30-10, you can't, But he didn't play really good defense. The first half, his shots weren't falling all that great as well. And on the other end, Porzingis just. I don't know if you want to say getting revenge against Dallas. I don't think he has any beef with Dallas, despite what some former Maverick NBA player, now analyst, might say. He's kind of far removed from that. I mean, it just didn't work out in Dallas. Had a couple other landing spots. It's working out in Boston, but he did have a really good game. This is his first game in like 34 something days. He was injured. Comes out, just bombing threes, throwing blocks everywhere. He only ended the game with 3 blocks, which is kind of surprising because I thought, in my mind, that there were a lot more. 18 points and 2 blocks in the first half. He only scored 1 basket in the second and got that extra. That got another block, and that was a big block, that runaway dunk that he ended up getting all ball. I thought for sure it was a foul to replay. But Boston plays fast. They shoot a lot of threes. They shot 42 pointers in this game. That's just how they play. They're shooting 38%. When you shoot 42 threes and you shoot 38%, you're going to be successful. The Mavs only shot 26%. Obviously shot a lot fewer threes than the half, as many. They only made 7 threes in the whole game. I think one big, going back to, where I was saying they weren't really running their offense, this stat kind of shows it. And I know you change up the game plan a little bit. We kind of punching them out and go down by, I don't know, the first quarter was like 15 to 18, something like that. But Dallas had just 9 assists a game. 9 assists. Luka averages 9 assists a game. Over 9. In the playoffs, he's like at 8.5 assists. They were trying to match Austin's offense. Not really setting up your own game, There's at one point, I'll go back to it. One point when the Mavs had kept the lead, Celtics scored right after a timeout. And then, this is what I alluded to earlier. Kyrie came down the floor with the ball, shot a 3 and missed. Maybe like 18 seconds left in the shot clock. Like they had gotten back, I don't think it was a 3-pointer they'd given up at the timeout, but it was either a 10 or 11 point deficit at that point when they had brought it to 8. And I think Kyrie was just trying to get those points back really quick. And it didn't work out. And then Boston went down and shot another 3 the other way, and shot a 3 the other way. And it really quick, the lead got back up to 16, 17 points very quickly. And you're kind of like, made that big run, and now you're just making dumb shots. I know Kyrie, I understand he was trying to get in his groove. He was having a bad shooting game. But like I said, you can't get it all back at once. You have to trust the process. I usually don't like to quote Jason Garrett or make Jason Garrett quotes, but you have to trust the process. You're here for a reason. Run your offense. Quit trying to keep up with theirs. If you can, you get the deficit down. What they should have done when they got the deficit down, just kept slowing down the game. I know they got back in it relatively quick. It was kind of out of nowhere. But at that point, slow down the game and play your game. Force them to come down to you. Because as you see, when you shoot and there's 14 seconds or more still on the shot clock and miss, they rebound, 2 passes, 3. Like Porzingis was shooting some of those. It looked like random shots. Like it didn't even look like he was set and he was making them. And that's what Boston does. They shoot and make a lot of threes, and they play really fast. Lucas said after the game that they have to play better defense and take away the 3. And of course, I agree with that. That's what I've been saying so far. You limit Boston's 3-point game rather than trying to keep up. That's easier said than done, of course. I'm not just saying just do that, you'll win. Now the Mavs can shoot the 3 as well. Obviously not in game 1 the other night, but they have a lot of good 3-point shooters. Luka was even off in the first half and a good chunk of the fourth quarter. But the good news is, if you're looking for a silver lining, it's a 7-game series. It's 1 game. Whether you lost by 1 or you lost by 20, it only counts as 1 win. Boston could have only gotten 1 win, no matter how bad they beat you. Now, I get it. If you lost game 1 by 1 point, you would be feeling a lot better going into game 2. But I think you look at the series before it started, you're hoping going back to Dallas for game 3, you're hoping the series is tied at 1-1, and you can still do that. You still have an opportunity. I don't think we should overreact to this. Now, Boston may very well play like this every game, and the Mavericks may just not find their footing, and who knows? But usually that's not how it plays out. You made the mistakes. You have the film on it. You've altered your game plan. At least I hope Jason Kidd altered his game plan after that. Now you just have to go execute. Steal a game in Boston. Go steal game 2. Another reason maybe not to freak out is if you look in the first round of this series. Remember I alluded to the Cowboys-esque embarrassment? Well, in game 1 of the first round, the Clippers beat the Mavs 109-97. And we were hearing similar things. The Mavericks were getting compared to the Cowboys. We know how that series turned out. They ended up winning in 6. Game 1, round 2 against Oklahoma City Thunder. OKC beat the Mavs 117-95. We all know how that series turned out. I'm not saying the Mavericks are going to come back and win the series in 6. I still think they'll win in 6 or 7 games. It'd be very difficult to come back from that and, sweep the next 4 games. But NBA Finals, game 1, Mavs lose 107-89. So very similar looking game. I actually don't remember if the Mavericks even came back a little bit in those other 2 games. They did come back in this game. You saw they did make a couple of runs in this game where, call it whatever you want, call it Boston letting their foot off the gas, which I doubt because they've been in this situation a few times in the last few years, and they just want to win one. As much as you think about Boston, obviously having the most championships, they're just this powerhouse franchise, and they have been to multiple finals in the last few years. The Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks, see Boston 17 championships, Dallas 1. The Boston Celtics and the Dallas Mavericks have the same amount of championships since 1987. And now I know that's cherry picking because Celtics won in 1986, but Boston since 1987 has won championship. They're not out here. I mean, they're in the playoffs more often than not. They're making championships. They were just in it a couple of years ago. They're in the Eastern Conference Finals the last few years. Boston wants this championship. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum won this championship. They don't have a ring yet. They're I don't know what you want to call it, but their status in this league matters, is greatly affected by whether they win or not, because they're already looked at a little bit as they can't get it done. When they lost to Golden State and they were favored against Golden State. And now, especially after you win game 1 like that, you're favored. You've ran through the East, whether or not it was, an easy schedule. We're, not going to really dive into that. We've dove into that a little, different episodes. But you run through the East like you did, you sweep the Pacers, and now you come in here into the finals as heavy favorites. You don't take care of business. I think the Mavericks don't win, that does hurt Luka a little bit. I don't think you're there of can he win the big one, because this is his first trip to the finals, and before this he really hasn't had a team around him. But it's going to be a lot worse for Tatum and Brown than it is for Luka and Kyrie, as far as their status goes, as far as looking at their careers. so far, I mean, Mavericks could win this year, Boston could come back and win next year, vice versa, and everything would be fine. But right now, they're thinking about now, and I know Tatum and Brown are going, wanting to win this for sure. And Porzingis, to an extent, he wants a championship. But like I said, I don't think he has any beef with Dallas. I don't think, this might perk him up a little bit more because he played for the Mavericks as opposed to if it would have been Minnesota or OKC or Denver. But I think, like you just saw him play the other night, he wasn't talking a lot of trash or anything like that to the Mavericks. He was just smiling, winking, having fun. But yeah, game 2, let's, the Mavericks need to, I think that's tomorrow night. The Mavericks just need to play their game, adjust, hopefully steal one in Boston. And then, I mean, at some point to win the championship, you're going to have to win at least one in Boston. And if you go down 2-0, we all know, I mean, I know the Mavericks were down 2-0 in 06. We Mavericks fans know that all too well, but going down 2-0 increases your chances a lot, of losing a lot more than going ahead and tying it up. I still don't think the Mavericks should be favorited if they ended up taking back home court advantage, because they are a really good road team. I think before the other night, before losing, they had won 5 straight playoff road games. So they're a really good road team as well, but just show it. Take game 2, maybe silence everybody a little bit, take the pressure off a little bit, and you come back to Dallas excited, happy, get your fans happy. Don't bet with your gut. We've been saying it a long time. I know Cole Rambo kind of coined that phrase back for us on the Bungalow Sports Show. But yeah, don't bet with your gut. Check out Betalytics and get help making your picks using their AI algorithms. Use promo code PEAK1 for 25% off when you sign up today. Go to Betalytics.com to start betting smarter. Okay, I didn't talk about it earlier. Obviously, I'm doing a solo show again. Tony and Landon out doing more baseball tournaments. Think they might be back next week. I don't know when their next off weekend is from baseball. So probably going to be a pretty abbreviated show, not quite the hour long as we're normal, but let's get into some little mini subjects here. I think I was going to bring the thread segment back for this to talk about the Minnesota Vikings new all-white uniforms. I can't remember the name of them, but I was going to wait for that till the first show that Tony and Landon are back, and we'll talk about that. So stay tuned for that. We're going to be, breaking down that uniform here pretty quick. You can go Google, look it up. You've probably already seen it. But yeah, I'm enjoying the new trend of teams getting whiteout uniforms. Seen it with Cowboys, obviously the Bengals. But yeah, we'll break that down. I think next week we'll see if they're back next week. We'll definitely do it. But I want to talk about this show that I didn't even know was coming out. This little, I don't know what you call it, docudrama. It's not a documentary, but it's a true story, sports story. But a series on Hulu called Clipped. And apparently it's already out. I didn't hear about it till like 4 or 5 days ago. It's a series about the LA Clippers and their former owner Donald Sterling. I'm kind of excited about watching this because not many, like I said, I guess these are docudramas. I don't know, but not many of these types of series, at least with sports, are coming out that I personally remember, like living through. I'm in my mid-30s. I'm not young, but I'm not old either. Like the what's the Lakers one? Showtime, the Showtime Lakers, whatever that one's called. That I mean, obviously, I didn't live through that. That was mostly the 80s into, I think it went into the 90s, but I don't remember any of that. This was like, what was this, 2012? era, somewhere around the early 20 teens. I definitely remember a lot of this drama going down. Not going to get political. I haven't watched it, and I'll probably wait till after the finals are over to watch it. We can kind of have a break. And obviously we'll talk about either on the Leadoff or the sports page or something. I'll get a lot of the other guys to watch it and check it out. It is on Hulu if you want to go ahead and watch it. Let me know what you think of the series. No spoilers though. But big time. There's got some big time names in here. Donald Sterling is played by Ed O'Neill. Lawrence Fishburne plays Doc Rivers, and then there's a lot of other actors playing Blake Griffin. A few other Clippers players of the time, and I'm hoping it doesn't get political because it's sports. Like, let's just, I mean, obviously, there's race tensions involved. I think from looking at the previews, it's kind of like a funny take to it. Not funny as in necessarily comedy, but just like it does not paint Donald Sterling in a good light, nor should it. He obviously is not a very good person, but I assume it's pretty factual. I know the Showtime Lakers show was, which I get different, not necessarily the same producers or whatever, but you have a lot of people. I assume they had a lot of people because all these people are attainable. Adam Silver, there's an actor that plays Adam Silver. Adam Silver's there. Doc Rivers, Blake Griffin, all the players. They're just ask them, So I assume they had experts on the set and in the writing room to kind of tell them how it really went down. So I assume it's going to be pretty factually accurate. I think I'll do some research on that, just so I go into it knowing with an open mind, is this, how accurate is this? But it kind of, to me, it kind of paints Donald Sterling as a lovable idiot. Like, he's just completely clueless about what he's doing. And then I'm sure it gets a lot more dramatic and serious later on, and leading up until when he's, forced to sell the team. But very interested in watching this. I'm very interested in checking this out. Have to get Hulu back up. We just hadn't watched it in a while. We had the Disney Plus Hulu ESPN bundle. Ended up going away from it. Brought Disney Plus back for the kids, but we just didn't watch Hulu that much, and didn't watch. I did watch quite a bit on ESPN Plus. Like during lacrosse season, I cover the Panther City LAX here in Fort Worth, and there were a few others. Now going into the summer, less sports going on. I'll probably re-up everything next fall when you have a lot more college football, because that's good about ESPN Plus is because we have YouTube TV and they have a ridiculous amount of college football games. If there's a college football team program within that's based within 500 miles of me, it's going to be on YouTube TV. But you add ESPN Plus to the mix, I don't know if there's a college football game that I can't find that I want to watch. When you add that, like the most random small games you can think of are going to be right there on ESPN Plus. YouTube TV as well. A lot of the local-ish, I should say, just in Texas, not really that close to me. All right, moving on. Let's talk some baseball. A couple of baseball tidbits here before we release you to enjoy your weekend. Adrian Beltre and Michael Young were announced as managers for this year's Futures game. Obviously, All-Star Weekend. They're building it up more like the NBA All-Star Weekend and having a Futures game. And, of course, the game is here in Arlington, DFW, at Globe Life Field. Which is pretty cool. It just won the World Series. Bochy's is managing the AL, being the AL champs last year. And then you have Rangers ties in with Adrian Beltre and Michael Young. I'm not sure. Comment down below if you know the format this is in. I'm just guessing. Is it World versus USA? Is there like some sort of draft process? Are they all minor league? Minor league? Do you have first year guys in this? I did not do a lot of research on this because I thought it'd be cool to ask about. Like normally I have questions, I go find them out so I can let you all know. But I think this would be cool, especially I'm not a huge baseball expert. I don't claim to be. But I know a lot of y'all are. I know a lot of our listeners are. We're a very educated baseball fan base here in Peak One. But cool tidbit: Adrian Beltre, Michael Young, they're going to be the managers of each team in this year's future game. All right, I'm going to start a new segment. I don't know if I'm going to do it every week. Obviously, it'll depend how much we have going. I assume we're going to do it a lot this summer, but let's do loser of the week. Go back to the sports page back when I did it. Back the Joko radio days, we did idiot of the week. I'm not going to go to that because that wasn't on this show. That was on the sports page. So we're going to change that to loser of the week. And I'm going to give that to the Chicago White Sox. Last night, the White Sox did win. They beat the Boston Red Sox 7-2. I didn't write down the score. I think it was 7-2. That ended a franchise record 14-game losing streak for the White Sox. Before Friday night, they had not won since a 5-0 shutout on May 21st in Toronto. A lot of these games, though, like I was going through it, and it is baseball. It wasn't like back last fall and winter we were talking about the Pistons' historic losing streak. They were just getting blown out most games. This, not so much. They did lose like 14-2 the game before ending this streak. But, most of them are 1, 2, 3-run games. It wasn't, it looked like they were just going through a lull. But no, they've been going through a long lull if it's a lull. 16-48 on the season, last place in the AL Central, last place across all of baseball by pretty wide margin. Excuse me. The White Sox are 8.5 games back of the next worst team. Not 8.5 out of the wild card spot. They're 8.5 games back of the Angels for the worst, for the second, who have the second worst record in the American League. You think about how dysfunctional the Angels have been. The Angels could go on a bad losing streak. And unless the White Sox were winning some games, the Angels would still probably not be in last place. The White Sox, I don't follow the White Sox a whole lot. Being from Texas, I follow them as much as most baseball teams that aren't the Rangers or an AL West team or a team that the Rangers are playing in the playoffs or currently playing in a series. But I know the Chicago White Sox are, and I'll get Landon's take on this when he's back on the show, are referred to as one of the worst run organizations in baseball. And again, our baseball educated audience, let me know, why is that? What specifically do they do? Like, I know why the Cowboys get flack for some of the stuff they do, for how they manage the cap. I know the stuff the Jets do. I would think Marlins are down there too. But I think the Marlins are more intentional. They won a couple of World Series because they went out, bought players, which, not knocking you for that. There are 3 ways to build your team: through free agency, drafting through your farm system, and trades. They went out and bought a lot of players. It is what it is. But they won a World Series and then they would kind of go off the map. Like, I think before last season, the Marlins did make the playoffs. Before then, they had not made the playoffs without winning the World Series. Like, the only time they made the playoffs is when they ended up going all the way. I may be wrong on that, but the Marlins are kind of more intentional. They're running it like a business. They want to save money. They're not really trying to win every year. They kind of wait till they're in that sweet spot, then they just go all for it. But the White Sox, I mean, historic franchise. A lot of good baseball fans there. Chicago White, I mean, that's an iconic brand. I mean, your second fiddle to an extent in Chicago. I mean, you're not the Clippers or the Chargers or the Jets. It's just the Chicago Cubs are such an iconic brand as well. But the White Sox have been, I don't even know how long they've been there. I know since the early 1900s, because you had the 1919 World Series controversy. But what is it? The owner, GM, like what makes this such a poorly run organization? Comment down below. Let me know. I'll do some research too, especially if you leave me comments. Comment. How do you think the Mavericks are going to do? What do you think about Adrian Beltre, Michael Young? Are you going to watch clips? Are you going to watch that series of the Clippers? Comment down below. Thank you for tuning in to the Leadoff this week. Had a blast doing this. Hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe. And you know what? If you didn't like the show, hit it twice. Share it with your enemies. Another Cole Rambo quote. You don't like this? You think this is trash? You think I did not do a good job? Send it to somebody you don't like as a joke. Ruin their day. But hope you have a great weekend. Have a great Saturday. And we will see you later.